My name is Evie. I am 29 years old, and the night my life split in two started with a family dinner I never asked to attend. When I walked through my parents' front door that Sunday evening, 35 relatives were already packed into every corner of the living room. Folding chairs borrowed from the church, tables covered in matching white cloths, the smell of roasted meat and expensive wine. Every head turned to look at me, and not a single person smiled. No one said my name. No one got up to hug me. A few cousins glanced my way, then looked back at their plates like I was a delivery driver who had wandered into the wrong house. I should have turned around right then. Instead, I scanned the room for an empty seat and found one at the far end of the table, practically in the hallway, like it had been placed there on purpose. Food was already being passed around. No one offered me a plate. No one made room. I just sat there, invisible, listening to them laugh about promotions and baby showers and vacation homes. Every milestone I apparently did not qualify for. Then my mother stood up. She walked to the wall where all our family photos hung in matching silver frames, and she started pulling them down. One by one, every picture with my face in it. The glass clinked as the frames knocked against each other. She did not say a word until she reached the trash can they had placed right beside the table, like they had been waiting for this moment. She threw my photos in, turned to face the room, and said loud enough for everyone to hear that I was a leech who had sucked this family dry. My father did not tell her to stop. He looked straight at me and demanded I pay back every dollar they had ever spent raising me, that I was nothing but a wasted investment. My sister Brooke shoved her chair back, walked over, and physically pushed me toward the door. Her smirk was the same one she had worn since we were children. The same one that said she had won something I did not even know we were competing for. I did not cry. I did not argue. I did not beg them to explain. I picked up my bag from where I had dropped it, walked out the front door, and did not look back. They thought my silence meant surrender. They thought that was the end of it. They had no idea I had been quietly tracking what they were doing to my name for the past 3 months, and that this dinner was the last confirmation I needed to stop watching and start fighting. The drive back to my apartment in Phoenix took 45 minutes. I do not remember any of it. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel, but not from what they said, from what they had just confirmed. I was not their daughter anymore. I was a line item, a debt. Something they believed they owned the receipt for. When I got home, I did not turn on the television. I did not call a friend. I did not post anything online. I walked straight to my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and stared at the blank screen until my breathing slowed. Then I opened a new document and typed one sentence at the top in capital letters, so I would never forget why I was doing this. This is not about hurt feelings. This is about what they did to my name. The glow of the screen was the only light in the apartment. Outside, the city hummed along like nothing had happened. Inside, I was rewinding everything I thought I knew about my family. My mother is Patricia Mercer, 58 years old, senior real estate broker at one of the biggest agencies in Scottsdale, the kind of woman who sends Christmas cards with professional photos and always knows exactly how much everything costs. She has controlled the family finances for as long as I can remember. Her favorite thing to say when I questioned any decision was that she understood money and I did not. My father is Robert Mercer, 61, owner of Mercer and Sons Construction, a company his father started and he spent his whole life building. He is the kind of man who talks about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps while standing on a pile of other people's work. He has reminded me of what it cost to raise me at every major moment of my life, when I graduated, when I moved out, when I chose a career he did not approve of. My older sister Brooke is 34. She is the CFO of our father's company and the golden child who can do no wrong. Perfect grades, perfect husband, perfect house 3 streets away from our parents. She posts inspirational quotes on social media and has never once defended me in a family argument. We are the Mercers, the polished Arizona family with matching holiday sweaters and staged photos at every barbecue, graduation, and church event. Offline, we have always been something else entirely. When I was 22, I told my parents I was going into graphic design instead of joining the family business. My mother called it a phase and asked when I was going to get a real job. My father joked at Thanksgiving that I was the artistic one. He said it in the same voice he might use to describe a dog that was not very smart but was at least pretty to look at. Every choice I made that did not match their script became another debt they believed I owed. In college, my mother insisted I open a joint bank account with her. "Just to help you manage your bills," she said, "so you do not mess up your credit." I was 19 and exhausted and signed whatever she put in front of me. She set up online banking on my laptop, saved all the passwords, and told me not to change them because she was the one who would fix things when I forgot to pay. Years later, after I moved to Phoenix and had my own apartment and my own job, she was still the one who had my social security number memorized, still the one who insisted my mail should go to their house because it was safer. I thought it was just controlling. I thought it was annoying but normal. I did not think it was criminal until the letters started arriving. 3 months before that dinner, I received a notice from a bank I had never heard of thanking me for my application for a personal loan. I assumed it was junk mail and threw it away. A week later, another envelope arrived about a new line of credit. Around the same time, the credit score app on my phone sent me an alert about a drop that did not make sense. I was paying my one credit card on time. I was current on my student loans. Nothing I was doing explained that dip. I took a screenshot and told myself I would look into it. Then work got busy and I let it slide. That night, after the dinner, I did not let it slide. I pulled up the government website for free credit reports and requested files from all 3 bureaus. While I waited for them to download, I made myself sit still and breathe. Anger makes you sloppy, and I could not afford sloppy. As I scrolled through old emails looking for anything related to accounts I did not recognize, I found something that made me stop breathing entirely. A message buried in my spam folder. Sender, Helen Whitmore, my grandmother on my mother's side. Sent 2 weeks before she died nearly 2 years ago. The subject line read, "Do not trust them, sweetheart." My hand hovered over the trackpad. Grandma Helen was the only person in my family who ever made me feel like I belonged. She died suddenly from a stroke, or so they told me. The funeral was small. My mother handled everything. I was not allowed to visit in her final weeks because she was too weak for visitors. I clicked on the email. The body was corrupted, only fragments loaded. I could make out pieces of sentences, changed the papers. "Do not sign anything they put in front of you. Your uncle knows the truth." The rest was garbled symbols and broken text. Someone had accessed my email and destroyed this specific message, and I was almost certain I knew who. My grandmother had tried to warn me about something she thought was important enough to write down, and someone in my family had made sure that warning never reached me. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Whatever they were hiding, it was bigger than a bad dinner. It was bigger than being thrown out. And I was not going to stop until I found out what they had taken from me and exactly how much it was going to cost them to give it back. I sat at my kitchen table until 2:14 in the morning, trying to make sense of what my grandmother had tried to tell me. The email was still open on my screen. I had refreshed it 6 times, tried opening it in different browsers. Nothing worked. The fragments I could read kept looping through my mind. Changed the papers. "Do not sign anything they put in front of you. Your uncle knows the truth. I am sorry I could not protect you sooner." The rest was digital wreckage, random symbols, missing chunks, sentences that cut off mid-word. This was not a glitch. Someone had deliberately corrupted this message. Grandma Helen sent it 2 weeks before she died. My mother had access to my email through the joint account she had set up years ago. She could have deleted it completely, but she did not. Maybe she thought damaging it was enough. Maybe she never expected me to look this closely. The email mentioned my uncle. "Your uncle knows the truth." That meant Uncle Marcus, my father's younger brother. I had not seen him in 8 years. He was cut off from the family after some incident no one would explain to me. At Grandma Helen's funeral, he approached me, started to say something. My mother appeared out of nowhere, gripped my arm, and pulled me away before he could finish. "Do not talk to him," she said. "He is not family anymore." I asked her later what happened between them. She told me he was a thief and a liar who had tried to steal from my grandmother years ago. They caught him. End of story. I believed her then. I had no reason not to. But now, staring at a corrupted warning from a dead woman, I was starting to wonder whose story I should have been listening to all along. I closed the email. I could not fix what was broken, but I could find what was hidden. I opened the government website for annual credit reports and requested files from all 3 bureaus: Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. While the system processed my requests, I made myself breathe slowly, in through my nose, out through my mouth. Anger makes you sloppy. I could not afford sloppy. Not now. The first PDF downloaded. I opened it and scrolled past the accounts I recognized. My student loans, on track. My credit card, paid on time every month. My car payment, current. Then I reached a section I had never seen before. Accounts where I was listed as an authorized user or guarantor. My throat tightened. Account type: commercial business loan. Creditor: First Arizona Bank. Borrower: Mercer & Sons Construction, LLC. Guarantor: Evelyn Rose Mercer. Original amount: $400,000. Current balance: $412,716. Status: delinquent, 90+ days past due. I read it 3 times. My name, my social security number, my signature supposedly. I had never signed anything for Mercer & Sons. I had never set foot inside First Arizona Bank. I did not even know my father had a loan this size. But there it was. My name wrapped around a debt I never agreed to carry. The account opening date caught my attention. March 15th of last year. My birthday. The same birthday my mother told me they were not doing anything special that year. "Too busy with the company," she said. "Next year we will celebrate properly." I stayed in Phoenix that weekend because there was no reason to drive to Scottsdale for nothing. Now I understood. They needed me absent. They needed me distracted. They needed me anywhere except in a position to ask why someone was using my name to secure a $400,000 loan. I checked the other 2 credit reports. The same loan appeared on both. But there was more. A credit card I had never seen, opened 14 months ago. Balance: $11,400. Also delinquent. The contact address on every account was my parents' house. The phone number was my mother's cell. The email was one I had never seen before: emercerbusiness@gmail.com. They had created an email address using my initials, for accounts I never opened, for debts I never agreed to. I sat back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Both accounts were opened during periods when I was too busy with work to visit home. Both required my signature. Signatures I never gave. They did not just steal from me. They planned it, timed it, executed it like a business operation. Something happens when betrayal stops being a feeling and starts being evidence. You stop hurting, you start hunting. I must have fallen asleep at some point because the next thing I remember is waking up on my couch with my laptop still open and sunlight cutting through the blinds. Monday morning, 6:47. My phone was on the coffee table. The screen looked like it had been through a war. 30 missed calls from my father starting at 6 in the morning, 20 missed calls from Brooke, 47 text messages from my mother, 3 voicemails I had not listened to yet. I picked up the phone and started reading my mother's messages in order. 6:02. Evie, we need to talk. Call me. 6:15. Honey, please, it is about the company. 6:34. I know you are upset, but this is bigger than last night. 6:41. Your father is very stressed. Please do not make this worse. 6:45. We are family, Evie. Family works things out. I almost laughed. Family. She used that word like it meant something. Like it was a shield she could hide behind after everything she had done. I played my father's first voicemail. His voice was tight, controlled. The voice he used when he was furious but did not want to show it. Evelyn, I do not know what you think you are doing, but you need to call me back. Now, there are things happening with the business that you do not understand. Do not do anything stupid. The second voicemail was shorter. Same tone. You owe this family. After everything we have done for you, call me back. I put the phone face down on the table. They were not reaching out because they felt bad about humiliating me. They were not apologizing for throwing my pictures in the trash. They were reaching out because they knew I might finally look, and they were terrified of what I would find. My phone buzzed again. A new call. Unknown number. But the caller ID displayed something that made my stomach drop. Mercer and Sons, Accounting. I stared at it for 3 rings, then let it go to voicemail. A woman's voice came through, nervous and quiet. Miss Mercer, this is Daniela from accounting. I probably should not be calling you, but there are some things happening here that I do not know. Just be careful, okay? They are talking about you. A lot. The message ended. Someone inside my father's company was worried enough to warn me. That meant whatever was happening was bad enough that employees were noticing. The rats do not warn you about a sinking ship unless the water is already at their ankles. At Grandma Helen's funeral 2 years ago, I stood in the back of the small church trying to make sense of losing the only person in my family who made me feel seen. It was a gray November day. Maybe 40 people attended. My mother handled all the arrangements and made sure everything was tasteful and appropriate and exactly what she wanted everyone to see. After the service, a man walked toward me. I almost did not recognize him. Uncle Marcus. He looked older than I remembered. Gray at his temples, lines around his eyes that had not been there before, but his gaze was sharp. He stopped in front of me and said my name like a question. Evie, I need to tell you something. About your grandmother's... He did not get to finish. My mother appeared beside me, gripping my arm hard enough to leave marks. We are leaving. Now. Marcus tried again. Patricia, she deserves to know. My mother's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. You do not get to talk to my daughter. You are not family anymore. She pulled me away before I could ask what he meant. I asked her about it later. She gave me the story about him being a thief, about him trying to steal from Grandma Ruth years ago. I accepted it because I had no reason to doubt her. But now I was staring at a $412,000 loan with my forged signature, and I was wondering whose story I should have believed. I checked my voicemail one more time. One message I had missed, a number I did not recognize. A professional voice, clipped and serious. Good morning, Miss Mercer. This is Raymond Chen from First Arizona Bank's Commercial Lending Department. We need to speak with you urgently regarding the guarantor obligations on account ending in 7439. A pause. The account is currently in default status. As the personal guarantor, you are liable for the outstanding balance. Another pause. The current amount due is $412,716.43. Please contact us within 48 hours to discuss resolution options. Failure to respond may result in collections activity and potential legal action. The message ended. I played it again. $412,000. A debt I did not agree to. A signature I did not give. A company I did not work for. And if I did not respond in 48 hours, they were coming after me. My parents did not just throw me out of the family last night. They threw me under the bus they had been driving for years, and I was done being roadkill. I opened my laptop and searched for an address. Marcus Mercer, Tucson, Arizona. He tried to warn me once. Someone silenced him before he could finish. This time, I was going to let him talk. Before I drove to Tucson, I called the bank. I sat at my kitchen table for 20 minutes staring at the number, rehearsing what I would say. Then I dialed before I could talk myself out of it. Professional hold music played for 3 minutes. Then a click. Raymond Chen speaking, the same voice from the voicemail. I identified myself. Gave the account number. Told him I was returning his call about the loan. There was a pause on his end. Ah, yes, Miss Mercer. Thank you for calling back. We have been trying to reach you for several weeks. He explained the situation in careful, measured terms. Mercer and Sons Construction took out a $400,000 loan 18 months ago. The company had missed the last 4 payments. As the personal guarantor, I was now liable for the full balance plus accrued interest and late fees. The loan documents showed my signature on the guarantor agreement dated March 15th of last year. I let him finish before I responded. Mr. Chen, I never signed that document. I have never set foot in your bank. I did not know this loan existed until last night. Silence on the other end of the line. A long silence. Then he spoke again, more carefully than before. Miss Mercer, if you are alleging fraud, that is a serious matter. You would need to file a formal dispute and potentially involve law enforcement. I told him I understood, asked him to send me copies of every document with my signature on it. He agreed to email them within 24 hours. Before we hung up, he added something in a lower voice. Off the record, Miss Mercer. You are not the first person connected to this company to call with concerns. Just be careful who you trust. The line went dead. I sat there holding my phone, his words echoing in my head. Not the first person. That meant others had seen something wrong. Others had asked questions. I needed to find out what happened to them. The drive from Phoenix to Tucson took 2 hours. 2 hours of desert highway stretching in front of me. 2 hours to think about everything I knew and everything I did not. I had found an address for Marcus Mercer in a quiet neighborhood on the south side of the city. I did not call ahead. I did not want to give him time to decide whether to talk to me. I wanted to see his face when I showed up. I wanted to know if the surprise would make him honest or make him run. The highway was mostly empty. Just me and the saguaros and the endless blue sky. I thought about Uncle Marcus. When I was a kid, he was the fun uncle. The one who snuck me extra dessert at Thanksgiving when my mother was not looking. The one who taught me to ride a bike because my father was always too busy with the company. He made me laugh. He made me feel like being a kid was allowed. Then, one summer, he was just gone. No explanation, no goodbye, no more extra dessert or bike rides or jokes that made my mother roll her eyes. He simply vanished from our lives like he had never existed. When I asked about him, my parents changed the subject. When I pushed, my mother told me he had done something unforgivable, and we did not talk about him anymore. I was 11 years old. I accepted it because I did not know there was another option. Now I was 29, and driving toward the man my family had erased, hoping he could explain why they were trying to do the same thing to me. The house was smaller than I expected. A modest adobe-style home on a quiet street lined with Palo Verde trees. The yard was xeriscaped with gravel and native plants. An older pickup truck sat in the driveway, nothing fancy. Nothing that suggested wealth or success or any of the things my parents measured their lives by. I parked across the street and sat in my car for a moment. I had not seen this man in 8 years. What if my mother was right about him? What if he really was dangerous? But then I remembered her face at the funeral, the way she gripped my arm, the fear in her eyes when Marcus tried to speak to me. People do not get that scared of someone unless that person knows something worth hiding. I got out of the car and walked up the flagstone path to the front door, knocked twice, footsteps inside, then silence. A voice through the door, cautious and low. "Who is it? Uncle Marcus?" "It is Evie, Evelyn Mercer, Robert's daughter." A long pause. I could hear him breathing on the other side of the door, then the sound of multiple locks being undone. The door opened. He looked older than I remembered, gray at his temples, deep lines around his eyes. But when he saw me standing there, something shifted in his face. Not surprise, recognition, and something that looked almost like relief. "I wondered when you would finally show up," he said. "Come inside, Evie. We have a lot to talk about." His living room was comfortable but sparse, books everywhere, a worn leather couch, a single lamp casting warm light across the space. On one wall hung a framed photograph that made me stop in my tracks. Grandma Helen. It was the only family photo I could see anywhere in the house. Marcus noticed me looking. She was the only one who believed me, he said, the only one who knew the truth. He offered me water. I took it. We sat across from each other and I told him everything. The dinner, the photos in the trash, the credit reports, the $400,000 loan with my forged signature, the corrupted email from Grandma Helen. He listened without interrupting. His expression grew darker with each detail. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned forward in his chair. 8 years ago, I found something I was not supposed to find. I was helping Robert with some paperwork at the company, noticed some irregularities in the books. Money moving in ways that did not make sense. I started digging and found a separate account. Money being siphoned from the business into personal accounts. But that was not the worst part. He paused. I found withdrawals from your Grandma Ruth's accounts, large ones, regular ones. Patricia had power of attorney over Ruth's finances. For convenience, she said. She was using it to take money whenever she needed it. Your grandmother had no idea. She trusted Patricia completely. I asked what he did when he found out. I confronted them, demanded they stop, pay the money back, or I would go to the authorities. His voice went flat. Your mother looked me dead in the eye and said if I breathed a word of this, she would destroy me. Within a week, family members started getting phone calls. Patricia told everyone I was the one stealing from Ruth. She flipped the script completely, made me the villain of a crime she was committing, and everyone believed her. I stared at him. For 8 years, I had thought my uncle was a thief. For 8 years, my mother had lied to me about the man sitting in front of me. He spread his hands. I have spent 8 years watching from the outside, waiting for someone else to see the truth. He looked at me with something like hope. I think you are finally seeing it. I asked him about the dinner, why they did it that way, why they needed to humiliate me in front of everyone. His answer made my blood run cold. That dinner was not about punishing you, Evie. It was strategy. He had been keeping tabs on the company through public records. Mercer and Sons was in serious trouble, missed contracts, lost bids, debt piling up faster than they could manage. They needed you emotional and off balance, angry enough to stay away but desperate enough to come crawling back when they offer to fix things. I thought about the documents I saw on the table before Brooke pushed me out. My name on official-looking papers. What were they going to make me sign? Could be anything, Marcus said. A loan extension, a property transfer, maybe a power of attorney so they can use your credit without needing your actual signature anymore. He told me they tried the same thing with him, provoked a fight, cut him off. Then, 6 months later, my father called offering to reconcile if Marcus would just sign a few things to clear up the misunderstanding. He refused. That was when they really came after him. Whatever you do, Evie, do not sign anything they put in front of you, no matter how reasonable it sounds, no matter how much they cry. Then he hesitated. There is something else, something about your grandmother's death. I could never prove it, but Helen was not sick. She was sharp as a tack until 2 weeks before she died. Then suddenly she is gone, and her will is completely different from what she told me she wanted. My heart stopped. What do you mean, different? He stood up and walked to a filing cabinet in the corner, opened the bottom drawer and pulled out a small lockbox. Inside were documents, photographs, and a black USB drive. Your grandmother gave me this 2 weeks before she died. Said if anything happened to her, I should keep it safe. He told me Helen called him out of the blue. First time they had talked in years. She sounded scared, said she had discovered something about Patricia and Robert, said she had changed her will, the real one, and put a copy somewhere safe. She asked Marcus to give the USB to me when I was ready. He held it out. I think you are ready now. I took it from his hand. It was small and light. It did not feel like something that could change everything, but I knew it would. Before I left, I asked him one more question. In her email, Grandma Helen mentioned a name, Douglas Whitman. Do you know who that is? Marcus's face changed. Recognition and something like worry. Douglas Whitman was your grandmother Helen's estate attorney. He handled her will, The man who did the probate? The man who should have done it right. But the will that went through probate was not the one Helen showed me. I asked where Douglas was now. Marcus told me he retired right after the estate was settled, moved into a nursing home in Mesa. Then he paused. Funny thing. Guess who volunteers there 3 times a week? My stomach dropped before he even said the name. Your Grandma Ruth. I drove back to Phoenix with the USB drive in my pocket and my grandmother's warning echoing in my head. Whatever was on that drive, it had scared her enough that she thought she might die for it. And now I was holding it. I did not go back to my apartment that night. I sat in my car outside Marcus's house with my laptop balanced on the steering wheel and the USB drive plugged into the port. The folder opened to reveal 2 files, 1 PDF document, 1 audio file. I clicked on the PDF first. The screen filled with a scanned image of a handwritten document. At the top, in careful, elegant script, were the words, Last Will and Testament of Helen Marie Whitmore. The date was October 3rd, exactly 2 weeks before my grandmother died. I recognized the handwriting immediately. I had birthday cards in that same careful script tucked away in a box in my closet. Cards that told me I was special. Cards that told me I was loved. Cards I never threw away because they were the only proof I had that someone in my family actually saw me. The will was 3 pages long, detailed and specific in a way that left no room for interpretation. To Marcus, she left her collection of first edition books and $10,000, with a note that said for staying honest when it cost you everything. To various grandchildren, she left small amounts and personal items. Then I saw my name. To my granddaughter, Evelyn Rose Mercer, I leave the following: $180,000 from my savings account. My cottage property in Sedona, Arizona. All contents therein including my jewelry and personal writings. There was a note beneath the bequests. Evie has always been the one who saw through the performance. I trust her to use this wisely and to never let them diminish her light. I read it 3 times, $180,000, a house in Sedona. I had inherited nothing, I had received nothing. The will that went through probate left everything to my mother as sole heir. I pulled up photos on my phone of old birthday cards from Grandma Helen and compared the signatures. The flowing rounded script matched perfectly. Then I searched online for the probated will and found the signature page in public records. That signature was completely different. Sharper, more angular, nothing like my grandmother's handwriting. My mother had not just changed the will, she had forged it entirely. I sat in the dark car and clicked on the audio file. The label read, For Evie Listen Alone. Duration 4 minutes and 37 seconds. I plugged in my earbuds and pressed play. The recording was slightly muffled, like it had been made on a phone held too close to someone's mouth. But the voice was unmistakable. My grandmother. Frail but determined. Evie, sweetheart. If you are hearing this, something has happened to me. I need you to know the truth about your mother, about what she has been doing. She changed my will, sweetheart. The one the lawyers have is not mine. I tried to stop them, but Patricia has people who do what she asks. I wrote a new will, the real one. I gave a copy to your Uncle Marcus because he is the only one I trust anymore. Everything I wanted you to have. The money, the house in Sedona, she is going to take it. She is going to pretend I never left you anything. Her voice broke slightly. I am sorry I could not protect you better. I am sorry I did not see what she was sooner. Do not let them make you small, Evie. You were always the brave one. I love you. I have always loved you, even when they tried to make you feel like you did not belong. The recording ended with a soft click. I sat in the silence of my car, with tears running down my face. The first time I had cried since the dinner. She knew what they were going to do, and she tried to save me anyway, and they silenced her before she could finish. I wiped my eyes and opened a browser on my laptop, searched for Sedona, Arizona property records. I knew my grandmother's maiden name and was able to narrow down the search. I found it within minutes. A small cottage on Oak Creek, purchased by Helen Whitmore in 1987. Then I found the sale record. Property sold in April of the year after Grandma Helen died. 6 months after the probate was finalized. Seller Patricia Mercer, acting as executor of the Helen Whitmore estate. Sale price $245,000. Buyer a development company based in Phoenix. I did the math. $180,000 in cash. Gone. A house worth nearly $250,000. Sold. Total stolen from my inheritance over $400,000. But it was worse than that. The timing of the company loan made sense now. Mercer and Sons took out that $400,000 loan right after the Sedona property sold. They used my grandmother's stolen money to prop up the company. When that ran out, they used my name. In the property records, I noticed something else. The notary who certified the property transfer was the same notary who witnessed the probated will. Same name, same license number. My mother had help. This was not one person making desperate decisions. This was a system. A network of people willing to break the law because Patricia Mercer asked them to. I went back inside Marcus's house and told him what I found. He listened and nodded like none of it surprised him. Then he told me there was someone I needed to meet. Sitting in his living room was a man I vaguely recognized. Derek Mercer, Marcus's son, my cousin. I had not seen him since we were teenagers at some family barbecue before everything fell apart. He was 32 now. Tired looking, working as a mechanic in Tucson. He shook my hand and said he had been waiting 5 years for someone else to figure it out. 5 years ago, Derek was 27, just starting to build his credit. He had bought his first house and was doing well for the first time in his life. Then he got a letter about a loan he had never taken out, a business loan through Mercer and Sons. He was listed as co-signer. He never signed anything, but they had documents with his signature on them. The loan defaulted. The bank came after him. He lost his house, had to declare bankruptcy at 27 years old. They told everyone I was irresponsible, he said, that I must have signed something and forgotten. My own father believed them over me. After the bankruptcy, my father Robert offered to help. If Derek would just sign over his share of a small inheritance from another relative, they could make everything go away. Derek was desperate. He signed. By the time he realized what happened, he had nothing left, and they had plausible deniability. The lawyer who handled my situation was Douglas Whitman, Derek said. Same guy who did Grandma Helen's probate. And right after everything was finalized, he suddenly retired, moved into a nursing home in Mesa. Convenient timing, right? We sat around Marcus's kitchen table and started mapping out everyone who might have been affected. Marcus, financially framed and exiled from the family. Derek, forged signature, bankruptcy, inheritance stolen. Me, forged signature, $400,000 debt, inheritance stolen. Grandma Ruth, being drained through power of attorney right now. Grandma Helen, will forged, estate stolen, possibly silenced permanently. The pattern was clear. Every victim was someone outside my mother's inner circle or too trusting to question her. Every theft happened during a moment of crisis or distraction. Every piece of evidence was handled by the same small group. Patricia, Robert, Douglas Whitman. They pick people who will not fight back, Derek said. People who are too ashamed to tell anyone what happened. Or people like Marcus who no one will believe if they try. I looked at both of them. They picked the wrong people this time. I pulled up my laptop and searched for Douglas Whitman, Attorney, Arizona. Found his profile. Estate law specialist. 40 years of practice. Retired abruptly 2 years ago, right after Helen's estate was probated. No explanation given. Current residence Desert Bloom Senior Care in Mesa, Arizona. I found the facility's website and scrolled through their public information. The visitor logs were private, but the volunteer schedule was posted. I scrolled through the list of names and stopped when I saw one I recognized. Ruth Mercer. Reading program. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. My grandmother Ruth volunteered at the same nursing home where Douglas Whitman lived. She had been doing it for 18 months. That is not a coincidence, I said. She is there to keep an eye on him, to make sure he does not talk. Marcus shook his head. Or Patricia is using Ruth without her knowing. Ruth might just think she is being charitable. Either way, Whitman is the key. If we can get him to talk, we can prove the will was forged. Before I left that night, Derek stopped me at the door. One more thing about Douglas Whitman. I did some digging back when everything happened to me. Whitman did not just retire, he was pushed out. Someone complained about irregularities in estate filings. The Bar Association started investigating. He retired before they could finish. Case was dropped, but here is the thing. The complaint was filed anonymously. And the description of the irregularities matches exactly what they did to Grandma Helen's will. I stared at him. Someone else knew, someone who might still be willing to talk. Who filed the complaint? I do not know. But the nursing home might have records. Someone who visited Whitman around the time the complaint was filed. I grabbed my keys. Then that is where I am going first thing tomorrow. That night I sat on my apartment floor surrounded by everything I had gathered in the past 48 hours. Papers spread across the carpet like evidence at a crime scene. My laptop open. The printer running. Ruth's recorder sitting in the center of it all like a trophy I had not yet earned. I made an inventory of what I had. Grandma Helen's USB drive with the original will and her audio confession. Credit reports showing the forged loans in my name. Property records for the Sedona house that should have been mine. Derek's written statement about his bankruptcy. Ruth's recorder with 37 audio files. Screenshots of my mother's texts and my father's voicemails. Notes from my conversation with Douglas Whitman. It was a lot. It was damning. And I had no idea what to do with any of it. Criminal charges, civil lawsuit, both? Who had jurisdiction? What was the statute of limitations? I was a graphic designer, not a lawyer. I could make this information look organized and compelling, but I could not make it stick. I opened my browser and searched for attorney financial fraud, elder abuse, Phoenix, Arizona. Dozens of results came up. Most of them looked like ambulance chasers with cheap websites and aggressive taglines. Then one listing caught my attention. Natalie Vance, J.D., specializing in elder financial abuse, estate fraud, and family financial crimes. Former prosecutor, now in private practice. The reviews mentioned she was relentless, that she did not back down from powerful families. One review in particular stood out. Natalie helped me expose what my own brother did to our mother's estate. She made him pay every penny back. If you are fighting family, she is the one you want. I saved the number and called first thing the next morning. Her office was in a professional building in downtown Phoenix. Not flashy. No marble floors or leather furniture, just clean lines, filing cabinets, and a woman who looked like she had not slept well in years, but did not let it slow her down. Natalie Vance was in her mid-40s. Dark hair pulled back, reading glasses, sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She shook my hand firmly. Your email said it was urgent. Family financial fraud always is. Sit down and tell me everything. I had prepared for this. Organized my evidence into folders with labels and timelines. I walked her through it chronologically. The dinner, the credit reports, Uncle Marcus, the USB drive, Douglas Whitman, Ruth's recordings. She listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a yellow legal pad. Her expression grew darker with each new revelation. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she set down her pen and looked at me. Miss Mercer, Evie, what your parents have done is not just fraud. It is a pattern of systematic financial abuse targeting multiple family members over multiple years. I asked if that was good. For our case, yes. Patterns are what courts love. One incident can be explained away. A decade of incidents is a conspiracy. She listed what we might be looking at. Forgery for the will and loan documents. Elder financial abuse for what they did to Ruth and possibly Helen. Identity theft for me and Derek. Fraud on multiple counts. Possibly conspiracy if we could prove Robert and Patricia coordinated. And if we can prove Helen's will was forged, we are looking at estate fraud, which in Arizona is a Class 4 felony. Natalie explained the 2 tracks we could pursue. Criminal meant filing a complaint with the state attorney and letting prosecutors decide whether to press charges. Civil meant suing Patricia and Robert directly for damages and getting the money back. "We can do both," she said. "In fact, we should. The criminal investigation puts pressure on them while the civil case recovers your losses." She assessed the strength of our evidence. The original will from the USB was powerful but would need authentication. Douglas Whitman's testimony was valuable, but his dementia made him vulnerable on cross-examination. Ruth's recordings were gold. Arizona was a one-party consent state, meaning Ruth could legally record any conversation she was part of. The recordings are our strongest asset. Your mother incriminated herself to a 79-year-old woman she thought was too old to matter. Natalie wanted to move carefully. Your parents do not know we are building this. The moment they find out, they will start destroying evidence, coaching witnesses, maybe even flee. We need to gather everything, line up our witnesses, and strike all at once. I asked how long that would take. If we are efficient, 2 weeks, maybe 3. Can you keep this quiet that long? I thought about Brooke's message. The meeting at 3 p.m. today. I was not sure. There was something I needed to tell her about my sister. Before I could explain, Natalie's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and frowned. That is interesting. A lawyer from Morrison and Blake just called. They represent Mercer and Sons Construction. She looked at me. They are requesting a settlement discussion regarding your loan obligations. How did they know you hired counsel? My stomach dropped. I had not told anyone I was coming to see her. No one knew except the people I trusted. Then I remembered. The nursing home. I signed in, used a fake name, but the room number was real. Someone could have checked the visitor log and reported back to my mother. Natalie considered this. It might not be a leak, they might just be phishing. Your name is on that loan and they know the bank is calling it in. They probably assumed you would lawyer up eventually, but we should assume the worst. From now on, do not use your regular phone to discuss any of this. Get a burner like your grandmother did. She paused. Speaking of which, you said Ruth visits Douglas Whitman every Tuesday and Thursday. Has she been volunteering there longer than the recordings? I thought back. She said she has been volunteering for 18 months. But she only started recording 6 months ago. That is a 12-month gap. What was she doing for the first year? I suggested maybe she was just being a good grandmother. Visiting family friends. Natalie's expression was skeptical. Or Patricia sent her there initially to keep tabs on Whitman. Ruth may have been their watcher before she became ours. Either way, we need to be careful. Ruth is our ally now, but she spent a long time on the other side. I defended her. She gave me the recordings. She warned me about Brooke. Natalie nodded. I am not saying she is lying. I am saying trauma and manipulation can make people unpredictable. Trust her, but verify everything. I told Natalie about the warning from Ruth, that Brooke was being pressured to sign documents using her house as collateral. Natalie's eyebrows rose. Ruth also mentioned Patricia set up some kind of pension plan for Brooke through the company. A pension plan through a family construction company? For the CFO daughter? Let me check something. She pulled up public business filings for Mercer and Sons on her computer, scrolled through corporate documents and registered retirement plans, typed, clicked, frowned deeper. There is no registered pension plan for Mercer and Sons Construction. Not with the state. Not with the IRS. Nothing. I felt the blood drain from my face. If Brooke has been contributing to a pension that does not exist, where has her money been going? Your parents may have been skimming from their own daughter for years, using the promise of retirement security to fund their lifestyle or prop up the company. I did the math out loud. Brooke has been CFO for 10 years. If she has been putting in even 6% of a decent salary, that could be $80,000, 90, maybe more. And she has no idea it is gone. Natalie pulled up one more document, a recent filing for a new line of credit. The collateral listed was a residential property in Paradise Valley. Brooke's address. The application was dated 3 days ago. Evie, this was filed the day before your family dinner. They were not just humiliating you that night. They were keeping you distracted while they set up your sister to lose her house. Natalie outlined the expanded strategy. If Brooke did not know about the pension or the collateral filing, she was another victim. And victims made witnesses. I told her I was meeting Brooke at 3 o'clock. Good. But do not tell her everything yet. Feel her out first. See if she is ready to hear the truth, or if she is still defending them. She gave me advice on how to approach it. Start with what Brooke would believe. The pension plan. Show her the absence of records. Let her do the math herself. People accept truths they discover better than truths they are told. She warned me about signs to watch for. If Brooke immediately defended Patricia, she was not ready. If she asked questions, she was processing. If she got angry at the right people, she might be an ally. And if she picks up her phone to call your mother while you are talking, leave immediately. With Brooke on our side, we would have 3 generations of victims. Testimony from the lawyer who committed the forgery. Recordings proving awareness and intent. Documentation of multiple fraudulent transactions. This is not just a family dispute anymore, Natalie said. This is a case that could put your parents in prison. I left Natalie's office and walked to my car. My regular phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw a text from my father. Evelyn, I know you have been talking to people. I do not know what lies Marcus has been filling your head with, but this ends now. You have until Friday to call me and work this out like family. After that, I will have no choice but to protect what is ours. Do not make me do something we will both regret. I read it 3 times. Protect what is ours. As if anything they had was legitimately theirs. Something we will both regret. A threat dressed up as fatherly concern. I screenshot the message and emailed it to Natalie, then I typed back 2 words. See you Friday. I deleted the thread and drove to meet my sister. The coffee bean on Camelback Road smelled like roasted beans and quiet anxiety. I pushed through the glass door at 3:02, a bell chiming overhead. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. The afternoon crowd was scattered across mismatched tables, laptop workers, a few mothers with strollers, a couple sharing something on a phone screen, and in the back corner, facing the door like she was waiting for bad news, sat my sister Brooke. She looked different than she had at the dinner. No smirk, no superiority, just exhaustion carved into every line of her face. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair that was usually perfect now pulled back in a careless ponytail. She was gripping her coffee cup like it might try to escape. The golden child looked tarnished. I walked over without smiling, without any of the performance we usually brought to family interactions. I sat down across from her and for a moment neither of us spoke. The last time we had been this close, she was shoving me toward the door while our relatives watched. Brooke spoke first. I did not think you would actually come. I almost did not. Silence stretched between us. I know you hate me, she said. After what happened at the dinner, I do not hate you, Brooke. I just do not trust you. That is fair. She looked down at her coffee. I am not sure I trust myself anymore either. That was when I noticed her hands. She was not wearing her wedding ring. The tan line was still visible where it used to sit. Something else had happened that I did not know about yet. Something is wrong, Evie. At the company, with Mom and Dad. I know, she looked up sharply. You know? How much do you know? Probably more than you. But I want to hear what you have noticed first. She took a breath. I am the CFO. I am supposed to see the books. But for the last 6 months, Dad keeps certain accounts locked. Says they are executive level only. I found invoices for contractors that do not exist. Payments to vendors I have never heard of. When I asked questions, Mom told me I was being paranoid. That I should focus on my own work and let them handle the rest. She paused. Then 3 weeks ago, Dad asked me to sign some documents. Said it was routine. Refinancing, restructuring, normal business stuff. But when I read them, Evie, they wanted to use my house as collateral. My house. The one I bought with my own money. The one Kevin and I. She stopped. Touched the empty space on her ring finger. Kevin left 2 weeks ago. Said he could not watch me destroy myself for a family that did not care about me. I told him he was wrong. That family is everything. Her voice cracked. Now I am not so sure. I opened my folder and pulled out the first document. Brooke, I need to show you something. And I need you to look at it without defending them. She nodded. Her jaw was tight, but her eyes were focused. I slid the paper across the table. This is a search of all registered retirement plans in Arizona associated with Mercer & Sons Construction. She looked at it, frowned. It is blank. Exactly. There is no registered pension plan, not with the state. Not with the IRS. Nothing. Her face went pale. That is impossible. I have been contributing to my pension for 10 years, 8% of every paycheck. Where does that money go, Brooke? It goes to the company pension fund. HR sends me statements every quarter. Statements from who? The color drained from her face completely. From Mom. She handles HR. I slid another paper across the table. I had my lawyer run the numbers. 8% of your salary over 10 years with conservative estimates. You are looking at somewhere between $85,000 and $95,000. Money that was supposed to be in a retirement account that does not exist. She stared at the paper. Her hands started to shake. That is not. They would not. They did, Brooke. They have been doing it to everyone. Her phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up. Mom, neither of us moved. The phone rang 4 times, then went silent. A text appeared. Do not forget dinner tonight. We need to discuss the refinancing papers. Love you, sweetheart. Brooke stared at the message like it was written in a foreign language. I spread out more documents. You are not the only one. This is my credit report. See this account? A $400,000 loan from First Arizona Bank. I never signed for this loan. I never knew it existed. But someone used my name, my social security number, and my forged signature to guarantee it. The borrower is Mercer & Sons Construction, Dad's company. She shook her head. No, that's not. Mom would not. They changed Grandma Helen's will. I was supposed to inherit $180,000 and her house in Sedona. Mom took everything. Cousin Derek went bankrupt at 27 because they put his name on a loan he never signed. They have been draining Grandma Ruth's accounts for months. $45,000 gone. Brooke pushed back from the table. I need air. I cannot. I need air. She stood abruptly and nearly knocked over her coffee. Walked toward the door without looking back. I let her go, gave her 5 minutes to process. Then I followed her outside. She was leaning against her car in the parking lot, mascara running down her cheeks. 10 years, Evie. I gave them 10 years. I turned down other jobs. I defended them to Kevin. I helped them push you out. She looked at me with devastated eyes. I thought if I was loyal enough I would be safe. I thought being the good daughter meant something. It did not mean anything to them. It just meant you were easier to use. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. The dinner. That night. It was not just about humiliating you. I know. Natalie, my lawyer, figured that out. Brooke shook her head. You do not know all of it. I was there when they planned it. I went still. What do you mean? 3 days before, Mom called me into Dad's office. Said they needed to have a family conversation about you. They said you had been asking too many questions, that you had found out about the loan somehow, that you might cause problems. Dad said the best way to handle it was to make you so angry you would never want to come back. Cut you off before you could dig deeper. Mom came up with the dinner idea. Invite everyone. Make it public. Make it humiliating. Make sure you would never feel welcome in the family again. Her voice broke. And I helped. I agreed to push you out the door. I told myself I was protecting the family, but I was just protecting them. And I did not even know what I was protecting them from. I am so sorry, Evie. I am so sorry I did not see it. I was quiet for a long moment. The anger was there. Of course it was there. But under it was something else. Recognition. You were manipulated too, Brooke. We all were. That does not excuse what I did. No, but it explains it. She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila folder. There is something else. The refinancing documents they want me to sign. I brought them. I was going to ask you what you thought. She handed me the folder. I think you should see what they are really asking for. I opened it. Multiple forms, legal language, signature lines. I scanned through looking for key terms. Then I found it. Brooke, this is not refinancing. This is a personal guarantee. What does that mean? It means if you sign this, you are personally liable for all of Mercer and Sons' debts. Not just your house. Everything you own. The company is failing. If it goes bankrupt, you go bankrupt with it. I flipped to the last page. 2 lines already signed. Robert Mercer, Patricia Mercer, 1 line blank. Brooke Mercer. They signed first. To make you feel like it was just a formality. They were going to make you their final parachute. When everything collapsed, you would be the one holding the bag. Something shifted in her face. The tears stopped. The confusion hardened into something colder. What do you need me to do? What? You have a lawyer. You have evidence. You are building a case. What do you need me to do to help? I studied my sister, looking for doubt, hesitation, any sign this was a trap, but all I saw was a woman who had just watched her entire life reframe itself. I need you to keep pretending for a little while longer. Go to dinner tonight. Act normal. Do not sign anything, but do not refuse outright. Tell them you want your lawyer to review it first. If they think you are still on their side, they will not know we are coming. And then what? Then we have our own dinner, with everyone, all 35 relatives, in that same house. A dinner where we show them exactly what Mom and Dad have been doing. Her eyes widened. You want to expose them in front of the whole family. I want them to face everyone they stole from. I want every lie to come out in the same room where they threw me away. When? The company anniversary party, 2 weeks from now. Everyone will already be invited. Mom has been planning that for months. I know. She is going to plan her own reckoning. Brooke extended her hand. I took it. I helped them hurt you. Let me help you stop them. Welcome to the team, Brooke. Before we parted, she stopped me. One more thing. The night before the dinner, I overheard Mom on the phone. She was talking about the Whitman situation. Douglas Whitman? The lawyer? I think so. She said something like he is getting too lucid. We need to make sure he does not talk to the wrong people. What did she mean? I do not know. But she sounded scared. I have never heard Mom sound scared before. Douglas Whitman was a threat to them. And when Patricia Mercer felt threatened, she acted. Brooke, I need you to go to that dinner tonight. Keep your eyes open. If they mention Whitman or Ruth or anything about handling problems, I need to know. I will text you. The burner phone. You know about the burner? Brooke almost smiled. Grandma Ruth is not as sneaky as she thinks. I saw her hide it in her knitting bag last month. I watched Brooke drive away, my sister, the one who pushed me out the door. Now my inside woman. Her warning echoed in my head. He is getting too lucid. We need to make sure he does not talk to the wrong people. I pulled out my phone and called Ruth's burner. Grandma, I need you to check on Douglas. Tonight. Make sure he is okay. What is wrong? I do not know yet, but I think they might be planning to silence him before we are ready. And if they get to him first, we lose our only witness who can prove the will was forged. Thursday evening, I stood at the head of Uncle Marcus's dining table, looking at the people who had become my unlikely army. Marcus sat to my left, arms crossed, face serious. Derek was beside him, tapping his fingers on the table like he could not wait to finally hit back. Grandma Ruth had taken the chair nearest the door, her knitting bag at her feet with the recorder hidden inside. And on the laptop screen propped against a stack of books, Brooke's face glowed from the front seat of her car, parked outside a grocery store so no one at home would overhear. This is everyone, I said. This is our team. I looked at each of them. In 10 days, Mom and Dad are hosting the company anniversary dinner. 35 family members, the same house, the same room where they threw me out. That is where we end this." Marcus leaned forward. "What exactly are we ending? Their lies, their control, their ability to keep doing this to anyone else." I laid out the plan. The anniversary dinner was already scheduled. My mother had been planning it for months. It was supposed to be a celebration of everything she and my father had built. Instead, it would be a reckoning for everything they had stolen. Brooke would convince our parents that I wanted to reconcile, that I was broken and desperate and ready to sign whatever papers they put in front of me. This would give me a reason to be there without raising suspicion. Once everyone was gathered, we would reveal everything. "They made a spectacle of throwing me out," I said. "We are going to make a spectacle of exposing them." Ruth spoke up from her chair. "I checked on Douglas last night like you asked. He is fine for now, but there was a new visitor on the sign-in sheet, someone named James Patterson. I asked the nurses. No one remembers seeing him, a fake name, someone checking on Whitman who did not want to be identified." The list of people who might want to keep tabs on a dying witness was very short, and my mother's name was at the top. We spent the next hour assigning roles. Brooke would maintain cover as the loyal daughter, feed us information about our parents' movements and plans, plant the idea of inviting me to the anniversary dinner as a family healing moment. "Make them think they have won," I told her. Ruth would continue volunteering at the nursing home. Be Patricia's eyes on Whitman while actually being ours. She would bring her recordings to the dinner, ready to play when the moment came. "You have been underestimated your whole life, Grandma," I said. "Use it." Marcus would stay hidden until the dinner itself. His appearance after 8 years of exile would be a shock that would throw my parents off balance. He would prepare his testimony about what he discovered and help me compile the evidence into something undeniable. "You were the first one they silenced," I told him. "You will be the first one who speaks." Derek would write a detailed statement about his bankruptcy, the forged signature, the shame he carried for years thinking it was his own fault. He would also reach out quietly to other cousins who might have been affected. "I was on Thanksgiving calls last year," he said. 3 different cousins mentioned weird loan letters. I thought they were just bad with money. Natalie would prepare the evidence packet for both the criminal complaint and civil suit. She would be present at the dinner but unannounced. Arriving after the reveal, began to serve my parents with legal papers in front of everyone. Nothing says caught like getting served at your own party. Friday morning, Brooke made her first move. I listened via speakerphone from Marcus's house as she called our mother. Patricia answered on the second ring, her voice bright and expectant. "Brooke, honey. Did you sign the papers yet?" "Not yet, Mom, but I have news. I talked to Evie." The brightness in Patricia's voice vanished. "You what?" She called me. "She is a mess, Mom, crying, apologizing. She knows she went too far. She said she wants to make things right. She asked if there is any way she could come to the anniversary dinner." Silence on Patricia's end. I could almost hear her calculating. "She wants to come to the dinner? She said she is ready to sign whatever Dad needs. She just wants to be family again." Another pause. Then Patricia's voice shifted. Warmer, almost excited. "Well, I suppose everyone deserves a second chance. I will talk to your father. But Brooke, make sure she knows the terms. She signs the papers, she apologizes to everyone, and she never brings up any of this nonsense about loans or wills again. I will tell her mom." "Good girl. I always knew you were the sensible one." The call ended. Brooke's face appeared on the laptop screen. She bought it. Marcus nodded slowly. "She bought it because she wants to believe it. She wants you defeated. Then let us give her the defeat she is expecting. Right up until we do not." I spent the next several days locked in Marcus's spare room building a presentation. If there was one thing I knew how to do, it was take complicated information and make it impossible to look away from. I designed it clean and devastating. Slide 1 showed the 2 wills side by side, with Helen's real signature next to the forged one. Slide 2 displayed my credit report with the $400,000 loan annotated and highlighted. Slide 3 presented Derek's bankruptcy filing with a timeline of the false loan. Slide 4 showed Ruth's bank statements, with $45,000 drained over 6 months. Slide 5 revealed Brooke's missing pension, the fund that never existed. Slide 6 displayed the collateral filing trying to use Brooke's house. Slide 7 contained an audio excerpt from Ruth's recordings with Patricia's own voice, admitting to arrangements. Slide 8 was Douglas Whitman's confession, written and notarized. The final slide listed every potential charge: forgery, fraud, elder abuse, identity theft, no fancy graphics, no emotional manipulation, just facts, dates, numbers, documents. The truth does not need decoration, it just needs to be seen. The logistics came together piece by piece. The dinner would be at my parents' house in Scottsdale, same living room where I was humiliated, same wall where my photos were torn down. Brooke confirmed that a projector was already set up for a company slideshow Patricia had planned. She would make sure it was connected to the Wi-Fi so I could cast to it from my phone. The timeline was precise. 6 p.m. guests arrive for mingling and drinks. 6:30 Patricia's planned speech about the company's success. 6:35 I arrive late, making an entrance. 6:40 Patricia asks me to say a few words. 6:41 I take the floor and do not give it back. We had backup plans for everything. If the projector failed, Derek had printed copies of key documents in his jacket. If Patricia tried to shut it down, Ruth would step forward with the recordings. If they tried to remove me physically, Natalie would be waiting outside with police on standby. When I was ready to begin, I would adjust my necklace, a simple silver chain. That was Marcus's cue to enter through the back door. His appearance alone would throw my parents off balance. That evening, my regular phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Be careful. They know something is coming. A friend. No name, no other details. Someone else knew what was happening. But whose side were they on? The night before the dinner, I could not sleep. I stood at my apartment window looking at the parking lot below. A car I did not recognize was parked across the street. Engine off, lights off, but someone was sitting in the driver's seat, watching. I squinted at the license plate. Mercer and Sons Fleet Vehicle number 7. They had someone surveilling me. I texted Brooke. Someone is watching my apartment. Company car. Her reply came quickly. Dad mentioned keeping tabs on you yesterday. I thought he meant checking your social media. It was more than that. I called Natalie. She told me not to abort. If they were certain about what we were planning, they would have done more than watch. They were nervous, not sure. Nervous people make mistakes. I packed an overnight bag and drove to a hotel near Marcus's house. Paid cash. Used a fake name. Texted the team that I was off the grid until the dinner. Radio silence, unless emergency. Saturday morning I woke to my burner phone buzzing. Brooke's name on the screen. I answered immediately. What is wrong? Her voice was hushed and tense. Dad just asked me if I have talked to you recently. Like specifically in the last week. What did you tell him? I said just once to confirm you are coming tonight. He seemed satisfied, but Evie, the way he looked at me, like he was trying to figure out if I was lying. He suspects something. Maybe, or maybe he is just paranoid. Either way, be careful today. Do not go anywhere predictable. I processed this. Robert had always been the strategist. Patricia handled emotions. Robert handled threats. If he was questioning Brooke, he was not sure about her loyalty. That meant he was not sure about anything. He is grasping, or he is testing me to see how I react. Either way, we stick to the plan. See you tonight, Brooke. See you tonight. And Evie? Yeah? I am glad I am on this side now. The view is clearer. I showered and dressed carefully. Not fancy, not trying to impress anyone, but put together. Professional. Someone who meant business. I downloaded the presentation to my phone and tested the casting feature twice. Checked the backup USB drive in my pocket. Confirmed with Natalie that police were aware and would be in the area ready if needed. Marcus texted that he would be at the back door by 6:15. Derek confirmed the documents were in his jacket. Ruth said her recorder was charged and she would be in the living room before anyone else arrived. Brooke sent one final message. The projector is set up. They tested it this morning for Mom's slideshow. It works. I sent one last text to the group. Tonight we take back what they stole. Not just money, our names, our dignity, our family. Then I pulled into the neighborhood I grew up in. McMansions with perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, American flags. My parents' house at the end of the cul-de-sac was already lit up, cars lining the street. The family was gathering. I parked 3 houses down out of direct sight. Through the windows I could see people moving inside, laughing, holding drinks. My phone buzzed. A text from another unknown number. Different from before. The projector password was changed this morning. It is Legacy 2024. You are welcome. D. Someone inside was helping me. Someone whose name started with D. Daniela. The accountant who warned me the first week. She was still watching, still on my side. I got out of the car, walked toward the house where everything began. Time to end this. I stood on the front porch of my parents' house for the second time in 2 weeks, the same door I had walked out of in silence. Inside I could hear the murmur of voices, clinking glasses, laughter that sounded rehearsed. Through the frosted glass panels, I saw shapes moving. 35 relatives gathered to celebrate a company built on stolen money and forged signatures. The last time I was here, they threw me away. This time I was throwing the first punch. I did not ring the bell. I walked straight in. The foyer opened to the living room packed with familiar faces. Same folding chairs, same borrowed tables, same people who had watched my mother throw my photographs in the trash without saying a word. Conversations stuttered and stopped as people noticed me. A few relatives looked uncomfortable. Others seemed surprised I would dare show up. My mother appeared from the kitchen with a wine glass in her hand. Her face cycled through shock, then anger, then settled on a practiced smile. "Evelyn, you came." She crossed the room with her arms open for a hug. I accepted it stiffly. Part of the act. She whispered in my ear. "Remember our agreement. Smile, sign, and this all goes away," I whispered back. "I remember everything, Mom." I pulled away with my smile fixed in place. "I am ready to say my piece." My father emerged from his study with his tie loosened and a drink in his hand. He looked at me like a problem he thought had been solved. "Evelyn, Brooke said you wanted to make things right." "I do, Dad. I have had time to think about what matters." His eyes narrowed, searching for the lie. I kept my face neutral and open. Defeated. Exactly what he wanted to see. "Good. That is good. We will talk after dinner." He produced a folder from nowhere. The same refinancing papers Brooke had shown me. "Since you are here, might as well take care of this now. Save everyone time." He opened to the signature page, his and Patricia's signatures already there, Brooke's line still blank, and a new line with my name printed underneath. Just a formality, family helping family. He held out a pen. I took it, looked at the papers, then set the pen down. "Of course. But I would like to say a few words first. Clear the air in front of everyone." Patricia stepped in quickly. What a lovely idea. Everyone would appreciate that. She was already imagining the public apology, the restoration of order. Robert let her speak. Then she can sign. He nodded. "Fine, make it quick." Patricia clapped her hands. "Everyone! Evelyn has something she would like to share. Let us give her our attention." The room went quiet. 35 faces turned toward me. I walked to the spot by the fireplace. The same wall where my photos had been torn down. The projector screen was already lowered for Patricia's planned company slideshow. "Thank you all for being here. I know the last time I was in this room did not end well." I paused. "Before I say anything else, I want to show you something." I pulled out my phone and opened the casting app, typed in the password Daniela had sent me, Legacy 2024. The projector flickered to life. Patricia's face changed. "What are you doing? Making sure everyone understands what they are really celebrating tonight." The first slide appeared. 2 documents side by side. On the left is my grandmother Helen's original will. On the right is the will that was probated after her death. Notice anything different? I zoomed in on the signatures. These signatures do not match, because the one on the right is a forgery. Murmurs rippled through the room. Patricia's face went white. "Turn that off. Turn it off right now." "I am just getting started, Mom." The second slide appeared. "This is my credit report. See this account? A $400,000 loan from First Arizona Bank. I never signed for this loan. I never knew it existed. But someone used my name, my social security number, and my forged signature to guarantee it." I looked directly at my father. "The borrower is Mercer and Sons Construction, Dad's company." Robert's drink trembled in his hand. "This is slander. You have no proof. I have the bank's records. I have the documents. Your contact information is on every page." The third slide showed Derek's photo next to his bankruptcy filing. And I am not the only one. My cousin Derek went bankrupt at 27 because someone forged his signature on a company loan too. Derek stood up from the back of the room. "They told me I must have signed something by accident. They made me think I was stupid. I lost my house." Gasps came from several relatives. One of my aunts, Carol, went pale and whispered something to her husband about a car loan letter they had received years ago. The pattern was bigger than anyone had realized. Ruth's bank statements filled the screen. But it gets worse. Grandma Ruth has had $45,000 drained from her accounts in the last 6 months. She has power of attorney documents she does not remember signing. Ruth stood slowly, supported by her cane. "I trusted my daughter-in-law. I trusted my son. They have been stealing from me. I am 79 years old. That money was supposed to be for my care." The next slide showed information about Brooke's pension. "And then there is Brooke." Patricia tried to interrupt. "Leave your sister out of this. Brooke has been contributing 8% of her salary to a company pension plan for 10 years. That pension plan does not exist. There is no registration, no account, nothing. Approximately $90,000. Gone." Brooke stepped forward from near the kitchen. "I found out 3 days ago. I have worked for this company since I graduated. They have been stealing from me the whole time." Patricia's mask finally cracked. "Brooke, you do not know what you are saying. I know exactly what I am saying, Mom. For the first time in my life, I actually do." The next slide displayed the collateral filing. And just to make sure Brooke could not escape when everything collapsed, 3 days before that dinner where you threw me out, Dad filed paperwork to use Brooke's house as collateral for a new loan. Without her knowledge, without her consent, you were going to make your own daughter homeless to save yourselves. A commotion came from the back of the house. Heads turned. Through the kitchen doorway walked Uncle Marcus. 8 years since anyone in this room had seen him. Patricia's voice went shrill. "What is he doing here? Robert, get him out." Robert did not move. He could not. Marcus walked through the silent crowd and stopped beside me. "Hello, Patricia." "Robert, miss me?" 8 years ago I discovered what they were doing. Stealing from Ruth, manipulating the books, using family members as collateral. When I confronted them, Patricia told everyone I was the thief. She turned my own family against me. I have spent 8 years watching from the outside, waiting for someone else to see the truth. He put his hand on my shoulder. She found it. And she had the courage to do what I could not. A young woman I did not immediately recognize raised her hand from the crowd. "I am Daniela. I work in accounting at Mercer and Sons." The room went silent. "I am the one who sent the projector password, and I have copies of everything they tried to delete from the company servers last week." Ruth reached into her knitting bag and pulled out the recorder. "There is one more thing. For the last 6 months, I have been recording my conversations with Patricia and Robert." She pressed play. My mother's voice filled the room. "The arrangements with Helen's estate are handled. Evie will never know what she was supposed to get." Another clip. Marcus was getting too close. We had to shut him down before he ruined everything. Another. Ruth does not need to understand the details. She just needs to sign where I tell her to sign. The room erupted, multiple people talking at once, accusations, questions, demands. Through the chaos, the front door opened. Natalie Vance walked in with her briefcase and 2 uniformed police officers behind her. Mr. and Mrs. Mercer, I am Natalie Vance. I represent Evelyn, Derek, Ruth, and Brooke Mercer. A formal complaint has been filed with the Arizona Attorney General's office regarding multiple counts of forgery, fraud, elder financial abuse, and identity theft. You are also being served with a civil suit seeking full restitution. She handed Robert a stack of papers. His hands were shaking. Patricia looked around the room at the family members who would no longer meet her eyes. For the first time in my life, my mother had nothing to say. I woke up Sunday morning in my own apartment for the first time in days. Sunlight cut through the blinds. My phone was on silent on the nightstand. For a moment I did not remember why my chest felt so heavy. Then it all came flooding back. The slides, the recordings, my mother's face when Natalie walked in with the police. It was done. Whatever came next, at least that part was finally done. I turned off silent mode and watched the notifications stack up. 43 text messages, 21 missed calls. Not from my parents. They had gone dark. These were from cousins, aunts, uncles, relatives I had not spoken to in years. Most were questions, some offered support. A few were accusations. Cousin Amy asked if all of it was true. Uncle Frank said he had pulled his credit report and found a loan he never signed for. Aunt Carol wanted to talk because she thought they had done something to her too. Great Aunt Mildred told me I should be ashamed of myself for airing family business like that. Derek simply wrote that it was a hell of a night and to call him when I was ready because we were not done yet. I sat on the edge of my bed and felt the weight of what I had set in motion. I should have felt triumphant. I did not. I felt hollow and tired, like I had just finished running a marathon through mud. Revenge is not a celebration. It is a surgery. Necessary, but nothing you want to remember. One message stood out from a number I did not recognize. This is Janine Whitmore, Douglas Whitman's daughter. My father told me everything. I want to help. He has documents you have not seen yet. Monday morning, I met Natalie at her office for a status update. She looked energized despite the chaos of the past 48 hours. The Arizona Attorney General's office is taking this seriously, she said. Elder financial abuse is a priority for them. She explained what that meant. A formal investigation had been opened into Patricia and Robert Mercer. Focus areas included forgery, fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. Douglas Whitman's deposition was scheduled for Wednesday. Daniela had provided server backups showing deleted financial records. Your mother tried to erase the evidence the night after the dinner. She did not know Daniela had already copied everything. There was more. Patricia's employer had launched their own internal investigation. They had found irregularities in loans she processed over the years. Several clients with strong relationships to Patricia had accounts that did not add up. This was not just about our family anymore. There might be other victims, people outside the family who trusted her professionally. The dominoes started falling faster than I expected. Tuesday morning, Brooke texted me. Mom was fired, escorted out of the building. The credit union did not wait for the criminal investigation. Internal review found multiple policy violations. Patricia's real estate license was suspended pending investigation. 23 years at that company gone in one morning. Wednesday was worse for my father. First Arizona Bank called the loan. $412,000 due immediately. Mercer and Sons could not pay. Robert received notice that the company was being placed into receivership. Decades of work, his father's legacy, his identity, all of it crumbling. More victims emerged every day. Aunt Carol confirmed that a car loan had been taken in her name 3 years ago. Uncle Frank discovered a second mortgage on his property he never agreed to. A distant cousin in Flagstaff called Natalie because she had been listed as guarantor on equipment financing she knew nothing about. Every time we pulled a thread, 3 more victims appeared. Douglas Whitman gave his deposition Wednesday afternoon. I attended virtually, watching on Natalie's laptop. He was frail but lucid. He told everything. How Patricia found his old misconduct and threatened to expose him. How he forged Helen's will under duress. How he had lived with the guilt for 2 years. "I knew it was wrong," he said. "I did it anyway. I do not expect forgiveness. I just want the truth on record." When he finished, he looked directly at the camera. "Tell Evie I am sorry. Tell her Helen would have been proud of her." After the deposition, Janine Whitmore approached Natalie and handed over a folder. My father kept copies of everything, every document Patricia made him sign, every email she sent threatening him. He knew this day would come. He wanted to be ready. Thursday, my father called me directly. His voice was haggard and defeated, nothing like the man who had once demanded I repay him for existing. "Evelyn, we need to talk, family to family. You mean you need me to drop the case?" "Silence. The company is gone. Your mother lost her job. We are going to lose the house. Is that not enough?" I told him what he had done, used my name to cover his debts, stole from Grandma Helen, drained Grandma Ruth's savings, made Derek go bankrupt, tried to take Brooke's house, humiliated me in front of everyone I grew up with. Is losing your house enough? I do not know, Dad. Was any of that enough for you when you were doing it to us? He did not have an answer. I hung up. Patricia took a different approach. She called relatives one by one, trying to rebuild sympathy. Evie has always been troubled. She twisted everything out of context. We were just trying to keep the family together during hard times. Most of the relatives were not buying it anymore. The ones who might have believed her had already checked their own credit reports. Friday, Natalie called me to her office. Daniela was there with her laptop open. I found something else, something they really did not want anyone to see. A spreadsheet hidden in a folder labeled personal, names, dates, amounts, property addresses, a master list of everyone Patricia and Robert had used as collateral or guarantors. Not 6 people, not 10, 23 family members across 15 years. They had treated the whole family like a bank they could withdraw from whenever they needed. One entry caught my eye. Ruth Mercer, property address I did not recognize. Amount $320,000. Status pending. They were planning to sell Grandma Ruth's house next. A week later, Robert and Patricia's attorney contacted Natalie requesting a settlement. Full restitution of my inheritance, removal of my name from all loans, no admission of guilt. In exchange, I would drop all claims and sign a non-disclosure agreement. Natalie presented it to me fairly. It is not a bad offer financially. You would get your money back. But Ruth does not get anything. Derek does not get anything. The 23 other victims do not get anything, and they walk away pretending none of this happened. I told her to make a counteroffer. Restitution for everyone on that list. Every dollar they stole returned, plus damages, plus a public acknowledgement of what they did. They will never agree to that. Then I will see them in court. 2 weeks after the dinner, my parents put the house up for sale. The Scottsdale showpiece where generations of family photos had lined the walls. The living room where I was thrown away and then returned to reclaim my truth. Brooke sent me pictures. Moving trucks in the driveway, Patricia supervising movers with a tight smile. Robert sitting on the porch staring at nothing. They were moving into a 2-bedroom rental across town. That house had been their identity, their proof of success, their stage. Now it belonged to strangers. I felt something I did not expect, not triumph but grief, not for them, for the family that could have been, for the relationship sacrificed for money that was now gone anyway. That Friday afternoon, Natalie called me. Her voice was careful and measured. The Arizona Attorney General's office just informed me of their decision. And? Patricia Mercer is being charged with 12 counts of fraud, 4 counts of forgery, and 6 counts of elder financial abuse. Robert Mercer is being charged as a co-conspirator on 8 of those counts. If convicted, they are looking at significant prison time. I sat down slowly. This was what I wanted. This was what I fought for. So why did it feel like the ground had shifted beneath me? When is the arraignment? Monday, It will be public. The press will probably pick it up. My parents were going to be on the news. As defendants. Brooke texted me that night. Mom just called me screaming. Says she is going to fight this. Says we will all be sorry. I read it twice. Typed back. Let her fight. The truth already won. 4 months after the dinner, I sat in the gallery of a courtroom I never imagined I would see. Wooden benches, fluorescent lights, the smell of old paper and anxiety. Beside me sat Brooke, Ruth, Marcus, and Derek. Across the aisle were a few relatives who still supported my parents. At the defendant's table, Patricia and Robert Mercer looked smaller than I had ever seen them. The judge read the sentences in a flat, procedural voice. Patricia Mercer guilty on 9 counts of fraud, 3 counts of forgery, 4 counts of elder financial abuse. Sentence 5 years in state prison, eligible for parole in 3. Robert Mercer guilty on 6 counts as co-conspirator. Sentence 3 years in state prison, eligible for parole in 18 months. Both ordered to pay restitution as determined by the civil settlement. Patricia did not cry. She stared straight ahead with her jaw tight. Robert's head dropped, his shoulders shook once then went still. Neither of them looked at me. I did not need them to. I thought I would feel something huge. Victory, closure, relief. Instead, I felt like I was watching strangers receive consequences for crimes committed in someone else's family. The parents I thought I had never existed. These were just the people who remained after the masks came off. As the bailiff led Patricia away, she finally turned, looked directly at me. Her lips moved with no sound, but I read them clearly. This is not over. Then she was gone through the side door, and I was left wondering if that was a threat, or just the last gasp of a woman who had lost everything. 1 week after sentencing, the civil case settled quickly. With criminal convictions secured, my parents had no leverage left. Their attorney negotiated the best terms possible, which were not good. Full restitution to all 23 identified victims. I received $180,000 for my inheritance plus $40,000 in damages. Derek received $80,000 plus $15,000 in damages. Ruth received $45,000 returned plus ongoing monitoring of her accounts. Brooke received $92,000 for her stolen pension contributions. Other family members received amounts ranging from $5,000 to $60,000. Total restitution approximately $1.2 million. The money came from everywhere. The Scottsdale house sale brought $420,000 after the mortgage. Robert's remaining stake in Mercer & Sons sold to the new partner for $280,000. Patricia's retirement accounts totaled $190,000. The truck Robert had loved so much sold for $35,000. Everything they spent their lives building was sold off to pay back what they stole. I calculated it once late at night. If they had simply asked for help and been honest about the company's struggles, the family might have rallied. Instead, they stole in secret and lost everything in public. They could have had family, they chose money, and now they had neither. With Douglas Whitman's testimony and the original will authenticated, the court invalidated the fraudulent probate. Helen Whitmore's estate was redistributed according to her true wishes. The Sedona cottage had been sold years ago, so I could not get the property back. But the court ordered Patricia to return the sale proceeds, $245,000. Combined with the original cash bequest, I received the full inheritance Helen had always intended for me. I opened the official document in my apartment. Beneficiary Evelyn Rose Mercer. Amount $425,000. Source estate of Helen Marie Whitmore, deceased. I read it 3 times. My grandmother's voice echoed in my memory. Do not let them make you small. I paid off my student loans, set up an emergency fund, put a down payment on a small house in Tempe. My own space, my own walls. I donated $20,000 to an elder abuse prevention organization. Grandma Helen gave me a foundation. I was not going to waste it. While going through the estate paperwork, I found a note from the court clerk. Attached was a small envelope that had been found in Helen's safe deposit box unopened. The front read in her handwriting, "For Evie to open on your 30th birthday." My birthday was in 3 weeks. Ruth's power of attorney was revoked immediately after the dinner. She had an independent financial advisor now recommended by Natalie. Her accounts were monitored and her decisions were her own. For the first time in years, I know exactly where my money is, she told me. It is a strange feeling, a good one. She decided to move into an assisted living facility, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I spent too many years in houses controlled by other people. I want to be somewhere they cannot reach. She chose a place in Mesa close to where Douglas Whitman had lived before he passed. Douglas died peacefully 2 months after giving his deposition. His daughter Janine visited Ruth sometimes. They had become unlikely friends. At a family lunch, Ruth raised her glass of iced tea. To the family we choose, and to the granddaughter who chose to fight. I clinked my glass against hers. I learned from the best grandma. No, sweetheart. You taught us what we should have done years ago. 3 months after the sentencing, Marcus attended his first family event in 8 years. A barbecue at Derek's new apartment. Modest but full of people who actually wanted to be there. Cousins, aunts, uncles who had cut Marcus off years ago now approached with apologies. Uncle Frank said he had believed Patricia and was sorry he should have asked more questions. Aunt Carol said they had called Marcus a thief, and she did not know how to make that right. Marcus accepted each apology with grace. You believed what they wanted you to believe. The only way to make it right is to not let it happen again. Not everyone came around. Great Aunt Mildred still refused to speak to me. A few cousins thought the whole thing was blown out of proportion. Family does not heal all at once. Sometimes it does not heal at all. I was learning to be okay with that. After the barbecue, Marcus pulled me aside. 8 years I waited for someone to believe me. You did not just believe me. You finished what I could not. I could not have done it without you. The USB, the introduction to Derek, the courage. Then I guess we saved each other. For the first time since this all began, I felt something like peace. As I left the barbecue, a woman I did not recognize approached me in the parking lot. Are you Evelyn Mercer? She was in her 60s, well-dressed, nervous. My name is Sandra Chen. Your mother was my loan officer for 15 years. I think she did something to my accounts. Can we talk? The ripples kept spreading. Brooke's divorce from Kevin was finalized 2 months after the dinner. Not because of the family drama, the cracks were there long before, but the crisis accelerated what was already falling apart. He said he could not watch me choose them over myself anymore, Brooke told me. By the time I finally stopped choosing them, it was too late for us. She left the defunct Mercer and Sons and found a new job as controller at a non-profit in Tempe. Lower salary but clean books and honest people. She moved into a townhouse and started therapy and began rebuilding. We met for coffee every Sunday now. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. We were not best friends. We might never be, but we were sisters in a way we never were before. We do not pretend anymore, I told her. That is the difference. We actually talk. One Sunday, Brooke arrived with a cardboard box. I found this in Mom's storage unit when I was helping sort things for the sale. Inside were letters, photographs, journals, all belonging to Grandma Helen, things Patricia had kept hidden for years. I think Grandma wanted you to have these. Mom was never going to let that happen. I took the box home and spent an evening going through it. Letters Helen wrote to friends about my Evie and how proud she was. Photographs of me as a child that I had never seen. A journal entry from the year before Helen died. Patricia wants to change my will. I will not let her. I know what I want, and I want Evie to be protected. I cried for the first time in months, not from grief, but from being seen. 5 months after sentencing, my phone rang. Unknown number with a state prison prefix. I almost did not answer. Evelyn, it is your father. His voice was tired and hollow. Nothing like the man who once demanded I repay him for existing. I have had time to think in here, about everything, and I never thought it would go this far. I thought we were just doing what families do, helping each other. You stole from us, Dad. That is not helping. Long silence. I know that now. He talked about the company, the pressure, how things got out of control. But he never said, I am sorry for what I did to you. You still think you are the victim, do you not? I think everyone lost. No, Dad. We lost. You just finally got caught. I hung up, did not feel guilty, did not feel free exactly, just felt done. Some doors do not need to stay open, some just need to be acknowledged before they close. That night I sat in my new house with Helen's box on the table. Tomorrow I would turn 30. The envelope from the safe deposit box waited in front of me, for Evie to open on your 30th birthday. I had waited 3 weeks to open it, honoring my grandmother's instructions. Part of me was afraid of what was inside. But Grandma Helen never brought bad news to me. She only ever brought love. The clock on my wall showed 11:58 when I finally sat down in my living room with the envelope in my hands. My living room. In my house. A single lamp glowed beside me, casting warm shadows across the walls I had painted myself. The photograph of me and Grandma Helen at the Sedona cottage was propped against a candle on the coffee table. 2 minutes until midnight. 2 minutes until I turned 30. I had waited 3 weeks to open this envelope, honoring my grandmother's instructions, even though the waiting had felt like holding my breath underwater. The paper was yellowed at the edges. The seal was brittle with age. For Evie to open on your 30th birthday. Her handwriting. The same careful script that had signed every birthday card I ever received from her. I slid my finger under the seal and felt it give way. Inside was a single folded letter and a small photograph I had never seen before. The photo showed me and Helen at the Sedona cottage maybe 20 years ago, both of us laughing at something off camera. I could not remember what was so funny, but I remembered how it felt. Safe. Warm, seen. On the back of the photograph in her handwriting were the words, "The day you told me you wanted to be brave when you grew up." I did not remember saying that, but she remembered. She wrote it down. She kept it for 20 years, waiting for this moment. The clock struck midnight. I was officially 30 years old. I unfolded the letter and began to read. My dearest Evie. If you are reading this, then I am no longer there to say these words in person. But some things need to be written down so they cannot be twisted or forgotten. I want you to know that I saw you. I always saw you. When your mother called you difficult, I saw a girl who asked questions no one wanted to answer. When your father said you were a disappointment, I saw a young woman who refused to shrink herself to fit their expectations. When they made you feel like you did not belong, I knew the truth. You belonged more than any of them. You just belonged to yourself first. I am leaving you everything I can, Evie. Not because you need money, though I hope it helps, but because I need you to know that someone in this family valued you exactly as you are. Your mother will try to take it. She has been trying for years. I have done what I can to protect it, but I am old and tired and she is patient. If she succeeds, I am sorry. If she does not, if you are reading this with your inheritance intact, then somehow you found a way to fight back. Either way, I need you to understand something important. I turned the page. The second sheet was shorter, the handwriting slightly shakier, written closer to the end. I spent my whole life keeping peace, smoothing things over, pretending not to see what was happening right in front of me. I watched your mother become someone I did not recognize. I watched your father enable her. I watched them hurt Marcus, and I said nothing because I was afraid of losing my family. But silence is not peace, Evie. Silence is just a slower kind of violence. I should have spoken up years ago. I should have protected you and Marcus and Ruth and everyone else they used. I did not, and I will carry that regret wherever I am going. But you can do what I could not. You were always the brave one, Evie. Even when you were small, you would walk into dark rooms while the rest of us waited for someone to turn on the light. So turn on the lights, sweetheart. All of them. Even the ones people do not want you to touch. The truth does not need darkness to survive. Only lies do. I love you. I have always loved you. And I am so proud of the woman you are becoming, even if I will not be there to see her. Happy 30th birthday, my darling girl. All my love forever. Grandma Helen. I read the letter 3 times. The first time I cried. Not the quiet tears I had learned to hide as a child, but real sobs that shook my shoulders and left me gasping. The second time I laughed. At the word patient. At Helen knowing Patricia so well even from beyond the grave. The third time I just breathed, let the words settle into my bones. She knew, she always knew, and she loved me anyway. I found a small frame in one of my moving boxes and placed the photograph inside, set it on my mantle, the first decoration in my new home. She wanted to be here for my 30th birthday. In a way she was. I walked through my house in the early morning light, 3 bedrooms, a small yard with a lemon tree, a kitchen that was entirely mine, no one else's name on the mortgage, no one else's password saved in my browser, no one else's shadow hanging over every decision I made. 6 months ago, I was a line item on someone else's balance sheet. Now I had walls of my own. I thought about the people who showed up when it mattered. Ruth, who turned a knitting bag into a weapon. Marcus, who waited 8 years for someone to believe him. Derek, who shared his shame so I would not have to carry mine alone. Brooke, who finally chose honesty over loyalty. Natalie, who turned chaos into clarity. Daniela, who risked her job to do the right thing. Douglas, who died telling the truth. I thought I was alone. I was never alone. I just could not see the others until we all stepped into the light together. I also thought about the people who were not here. My parents in separate prisons serving separate sentences. The relatives who still thought I went too far. The family gatherings that would never feel the same. You cannot expose the truth without losing something. The question is whether what you keep is worth more than what you lose. For me, it was. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. A message from Sandra Chen, the woman who had approached me after the barbecue months ago. The bank confirmed it. Your mother opened 3 accounts in my name over the past decade. Thank you for showing me what to look for. You saved my retirement. I stared at the message. The ripples kept spreading. In the months since everything ended, I had built something new. A website about financial abuse within families. How to spot the signs. How to check your credit. How to document everything. How to find help. I designed it myself, clean and accessible. Translated into plain language that anyone could understand. If I had known what to look for 5 years ago, I might have caught them sooner. I wanted to give someone else that head start. Emails arrived every week. A woman in Ohio whose son was forging her checks. A man in Florida whose sister took out credit cards in his name. A college student whose parents used her social security number before she turned 18. Every story was different. Every story was the same. Family was supposed to mean safety. For too many people, it did not. Sunday afternoon, I met Brooke at our usual coffee shop. The same place where everything shifted between us months ago. Now it was just a place where sisters talked. She was doing better. Therapy was helping. The new job was challenging in good ways. She had started dating again, nothing serious, just figuring out who she was outside of the family performance. I spent 34 years being the good daughter, she said. Turns out I have no idea who I am when I am not performing. That is the fun part, I told her. You get to find out. She asked me if I ever regretted any of it. I thought about it honestly. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that Grandma Helen did not live to see it. I regret the relationships that could not survive the truth. But exposing them? Building the case? The dinner? No. I would do it again. Every time. Me too, Brooke said. Even the parts that hurt. Especially those parts. We clinked our coffee cups together, to the family we are building, not the one we were given, to turning on the lights. As we were leaving, Brooke mentioned that our mother's parole hearing was in 8 months. She had been writing letters to relatives trying to rebuild support. I nodded. Let her try. The truth does not disappear just because she wants it to. That night, I sat on my back patio watching the Arizona sky fill with stars. I thought about everything I had learned. Family is not a free pass. Sharing blood does not mean sharing values. And love that comes with conditions is not love. It is leverage. Silence is not peace. Looking away does not make problems disappear. It just lets them grow in the dark until they are too big to ignore. The people who want you to stay quiet are usually the ones with the most to hide. And when someone tells you to trust them but will not let you verify, run. If something feels wrong in your family, trust that feeling. Pull your credit reports. Ask the questions no one wants you to ask. Document everything. You are not paranoid for protecting yourself. You are not disloyal for wanting the truth. The people who really love you will welcome transparency. They will open the books, share the passwords, answer the hard questions. The ones who do not are not protecting the family. They are protecting themselves. Exposing the truth costs something. It always does. But living in a lie costs more. It just takes longer to pay the bill. I would rather be broke and honest than comfortable and complicit. Grandma Helen taught me that. It just took me 30 years to understand. I went back inside and paused at the mantel where Helen's photograph sat in its new frame. Touched the glass gently. Happy birthday to me, Grandma. I think I finally understand what you meant. They wanted me to disappear that night. They wanted my silence to be permanent. Instead, I became the thing they feared most. Someone who refused to look away. If you are watching this and something in your own family does not add up, trust yourself. You are not crazy. You are not ungrateful. You are not betraying anyone by wanting the truth. The real betrayal is what they are doing in the dark, so turn on the lights. All of them. You might be surprised who is standing there with you when you do. If this story meant something to you, if it reminded you of someone you know or something you have been through, I would love to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell me. Have you ever had to stand up to someone in your own family? How did you find the courage? And if you want more stories like this, stories about ordinary people who refuse to stay silent, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss what is coming next. Because there are a lot of us out there, more than you think, and the more of us who speak up, the fewer of us have to fight alone. Thank you for staying with me until the end. It means more than you know. Until next time, keep the lights on. This story is fictionalized for dramatic effect.